When my fiancé's friends kept saying I'd change after marriage, she started backing off. So I said, maybe they're right, canceled all the wedding plans and told her, let's just stay dating forever. Her friends' faces when she begged me to marry her anyway. I was standing in the middle of our half-decorated townhouse in Tacoma, Washington, holding a stack of wedding programs we had picked out together, navy blue with silver lettering, when my fiancée, Elena, walked in from her so-called relaxing brunch with her friends. But the look on her face wasn't relaxed. It was hollow, like she'd just watched our entire marriage burn down before it even began. She didn't even take off her jacket. Caleb, we need to talk. Those words hit like a car crash. What happened? I asked. She wouldn't look at me, just stared past me, at the wedding programs like they meant nothing. It's something the girls said today. They told me things about marriage, about men, about how they all change the second the vows are said. I blinked. Change how? You stop trying, she whispered. You stop caring. You stop being romantic. You just become someone else. I shouldn't have laughed, but I did. Do you really think that's me? I don't know anymore, she said, voice cracking. They said their husbands were perfect before the wedding. And then, click, a switch flipped. For years together, engaged for 10 months. And now she suddenly thought I was a fraud wearing a Caleb mask until the wedding locked me in? But here's the part that punched me straight in the gut. She didn't deny it. She didn't say, of course I trust you. She just stayed quiet. That silence said everything. Okay, I told her. Maybe they're right. Maybe I will change. Her head snapped up, shocked. Good. She should be. If you already believe I'm secretly waiting to disappoint you, I added, why should we get married at all? We can just stay dating forever. Her friends weren't there when she broke. When she actually begged me to tell her she was wrong. Begged me to reassure her I'd never turn into the man they warned her about. But I didn't. Because suddenly something in her story didn't add up. The way she wouldn't meet my eyes. The way her hands shook. The way she kept saying, they told me, instead of, I think. The way her phone kept lighting up with group chat notifications the entire conversation. Something was off. Badly off. That night, Elena locked herself in the guest room. I sat at the dining table, staring at the guest list, trying to figure out where the hell all this came from. And as I scrolled through the spreadsheet, one name jumped out at me. Avery, her best friend. The one who'd been oddly invested in our relationship from the beginning. The one who always had something negative to say. The one whose last 3 relationships ended in suspicious, dramatic ways. Avery, who absolutely hated me. At 1:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. Just one message. You should really think about whether the wedding is even a good idea. Some things aren't what they seem. I stared at it for a full minute. Avery had never texted me before. That's when the pit formed in my stomach. Cold, heavy knot. Something bigger was happening. And Elena's concerns weren't coming from nowhere. They were coming from someone with a reason. I walked to the guest room door and knocked. Elena, we need to talk. Now. No response. But I heard her phone vibrate. Again and again. Like someone was feeding her lines through the device. I didn't know it yet. But the truth was worse than her doubting me. Worse than the canceled wedding I was already considering. Because someone close to her wasn't just sabotaging the relationship. They were sabotaging me. And they weren't done. Cliffhanger. The next morning, I opened Elena's laptop to check a vendor email and found a message thread she apparently forgot to close. A thread between her and Avery. The last message made my blood run cold. Don't worry. Once Caleb finds out the truth, he'll call off the wedding himself. I hadn't found out the truth yet, but I would. Before everything blew up, before the late-night texts and the locked guest room door, our lives were simple in a way I didn't realize I'd miss. I met Elena 4 years earlier in a Safeway parking lot in downtown Tacoma. I was loading groceries into my trunk when the cart next to me started rolling downhill. She sprinted after it like it contained the cure to something, laughing breathlessly when she caught it. I made some dumb joke about her Olympic-level cart rescue skills. She smiled, and that was it. That smile hooked me. She was warm, grounded. A nurse who worked long shifts but still remembered to bring me my favorite snacks from the hospital cafe. The kind of person who left sticky notes on my coffee mug that said, "Good luck today," even if my day involved nothing more than Zoom calls. We fit easily. No drama. No fighting. No weird manipulations. No cold silences. Just two people building a life. Then she introduced me to her friends. That was the first time I ever saw cracks. The group called themselves the Five. Avery, Jazz, Megan, Talia, and Renee. They had been together since high school and wore that loyalty like armor. You know those groups where the word friend really means emotional warden? That was them. The first time I met them, they joked about how couples never last once the five weighed in. I laughed it off, but the way they looked at me, like I was some new recruit being processed, made the hair on my arms stand up. Still, I tried. For Elena. But every time I'd leave the room, the energy shifted. I could hear it in the quiet snapping whispers, the "we'll talk later" glances, the loaded sounds Avery made whenever Elena mentioned something good I'd done. Avery especially. She had this way of smiling at me like she knew something I didn't, like she was waiting for me to screw up. For years, they never outright said anything. They didn't need to. They just planted seeds. Little things. "Must be nice that he texts back quickly. My ex did that too. Until we moved in together." Or, "Wow, he cooks? My husband did that before the wedding." Or the always sinister, "Enjoy it while it lasts." They chipped away at her confidence drop by drop, so slowly it felt harmless. But every negative story from them lodged into Elena's brain like a splinter. The weird part? They were all miserable. Avery was in a situationship she pretended was a relationship. Talia's husband had cheated twice. Renee's marriage was basically sibling roommates. Jazz had filed for separation. And Megan once said she wished she'd called off her wedding. It was like they carried their unhappiness around and sprinkled it over every conversation. I used to tell Elena, "Your friends seem stressed." And she'd snap back, "They're my support system. They're just protective." Sure, protective like a guard dog with rabies. But I didn't want to push too hard. I'd seen what happens when a partner tries to separate someone from a long-standing friend group. It always backfires. So I kept my mouth shut. I focused on us. I never once imagined they'd cross the line from annoying to actively trying to sabotage my future. I never imagined they'd twist her so hard she'd start doubting 4 years of love in one damn afternoon. And I definitely didn't imagine Avery texting me personally, like she was orchestrating something. But the biggest thing I didn't know yet? That message I saw on Elena's laptop, the one saying, "Once Caleb finds out the truth." There was an entire part of the story I didn't know. A part that explained why she doubted me so suddenly. Why Avery was so involved. Why her whole friend group had latched onto our engagement like vultures. Because someone had lied. And the lie wasn't small. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark living room with that message thread still burned into my eyes. Once Caleb finds out the truth, he'll call off the wedding himself. What truth? What the hell was Avery talking about? By morning, Elena was already gone. Left early for work without a note, without a word. Her silence wasn't normal. Even when we fought in the past, she still checked in. This time felt controlled, directed, like someone else was feeding her a script. I made coffee, sat at the table staring at our half-filled RSVP chart, and thought about everything that felt off in the last month. How she flinched when I talked about our honeymoon plans. How she suddenly forgot to share wedding tasks with me. How she had a new lock code on her phone. Not because she was hiding anything, she said, but because everyone should have boundaries, right? By 10 a.m., I queued up the vendor emails and started researching cancellation policies, just to see what I was dealing with. My stomach twisted as I made each call. The numbers felt real, like actual consequences I never thought I'd have to consider. But it also felt like I was taking control back. When I finished gathering everything, I sent Elena a clean, neutral text. FYI, here's the cancellation info for all vendors. Let me know what you want to do. Her response was immediate. What is this? Exactly what it says. You said you were worried. I'm giving you options. She called me instantly. Furious. Hurt. Panicked. You're jumping to extremes, she snapped. Why would you even think about canceling? Because you clearly think marrying me is a risk. That's not... Caleb, stop twisting everything. I'm literally responding to what you said. You were supposed to reassure me, and you were supposed to trust me. Silence. That silence was starting to become a theme. That night, she came home late and walked straight to the guest room. The lock clicked. I didn't follow. Instead, I grabbed my laptop and reopened the message thread I'd seen earlier. But here's the thing. It wasn't just one message I saw. It was pages. The thread wasn't labeled Avery in her contacts. It was a nickname, A. That's the only reason the thread was still open. She didn't realize I'd know it was her. Most of the messages were harmless. But then I saw a part that made my hands go numb. Avery had sent her screenshots. Screenshots of a dating profile. My pictures. My name. My city. My job. Even one photo clearly lifted from my Instagram. But the bio wasn't mine. It read, engaged but bored. Not dead yet. Looking for fun before the wedding. I stared at it, blinking hard, trying to convince myself I wasn't seeing what I was seeing. Underneath it, Avery had typed, I'm sorry, Lena. I didn't want you to find out this way. That was the moment everything snapped into sharp focus. Her concerns, her sudden doubts, her shaking voice, her friends' warnings, the intervention they tried to stage, the late-night texts, the line about once he finds out the truth. The truth wasn't about me. It was about what they wanted her to believe about me. Someone, very likely Avery, created a fake profile using my information. And Elena believed it. My chest felt tight. Not angry tight. Betrayed tight. The kind of tight that comes from realizing the person you love thinks you're capable of something that disgusting. I needed confirmation. Proof. Something concrete. So I called my buddy Ryan. Dude, I said, can you make a burner profile and try to find someone pretending to be me? He didn't even ask questions. On it. 2 hours later, he texted me a single screenshot. There it was. Me. On a dating app I'd never used. Active within the past day. My blood turned to ice. I walked down the hall and knocked on the guest room door. My voice calm only because I cracked somewhere deep inside. Elena, I said, we're not going to bed tonight until you tell me why your friend is using my pictures to catfish you. No response. Just her phone vibrating behind the door. Avery texting again. And I swear I heard Elena quietly crying. But not the guilty kind. The terrified kind. Like she knew I finally saw the chessboard. Like she knew the pieces were moving. And like she knew the first major betrayal was about to come to light. I stood outside the guest room door, knuckles hovering, pulse thudding hard enough to shake my ribs. I thought her cold feet was the betrayal. I thought her doubts were the betrayal. But that wasn't even the warm-up. Elena, I said again, voice steady. Open the door. A long silence. Then the soft click of the lock. She opened the door just enough that I could see one eye. Red, swollen, terrified. Not of me. Of the situation. Of what she'd been hiding. What did you see? She whispered. Enough, I said. Your friend sent you screenshots from a fake dating profile she made of me. Using my pictures. My info. My name. Just tell me why you didn't ask me before assuming it was real. She covered her mouth and shook her head like she wanted to rewind the last 24 hours. I didn't think it was her at first, she said. She told me someone sent it to her. Told me she was so sorry. That she wanted to tell me before it got worse. And you believed her? She showed me screenshots where the profile had matched with someone she knew. Someone who said you messaged them. My stomach twisted. Someone she knew? Or someone she recruited? Elena didn't answer, which meant she knew. Somewhere deep down, she knew. I stepped inside the room and closed the door behind us. Why didn't you show me? I asked quieter this time. Why didn't you come to me? She sat on the edge of the bed like her legs might give out. Because I was scared it was real. Her voice cracked. Because Avery wouldn't stop pushing. She said this happens all the time. Men get bored before the wedding, freak out, cheat as a last hurrah. She kept saying she'd seen it before, that she recognized the signs. I froze. Recognized the signs? What signs? She told me, Elena whispered, that you were pulling away, that you'd seemed distracted lately, that you were probably talking to someone else. I ran a hand down my face. Distracted? Elena, I was planning our wedding. I was coordinating vendors. I was working overtime to pay for everything. I know, she said quickly, like she suddenly realized how insane it sounded. But Avery made it all sound connected, like everything you did fit some pattern she'd seen. I could feel anger boiling up, but I kept my voice low. What pattern? She hesitated. Then she said the words that detonated the entire situation. Avery told me she went through the exact same thing with you. The world stopped. I stared at her, unmoving, unblinking. With me. Elena nodded slowly, like she hated every second of it. She said you two dated. Years ago. Briefly. That you love-bombed her. Then disappeared. She said you cheated on her. Lied to her. Broke her trust. My jaw tightened. We never dated. I know that now. I do. But when she said it, she sounded so devastated. So believable. I took a step back. Because that was the twist. That was the level of boldness I didn't expect. Avery didn't just make a fake dating profile of me. She rewrote her own history, inserted herself into my life, told Elena she had first-hand knowledge of what men like Caleb do because she had lived it. It was a lie so big it warped reality around it. And Elena, already scared, already vulnerable, believed her. When she saw the fake profile, it only confirmed Avery's story. Elena looked at her shaking hands. I didn't want to believe her. I swear to God I didn't, but I felt sick. And when she sent those screenshots, and when the other girls backed her up. Wait, I froze. The other girls backed her up? She nodded again. They all said they remembered me. They said Avery cried about me years ago. They said they warned her I was a player. It hit me like a punch. This wasn't one lie. It was a coordinated lie. A group effort. A story they rehearsed. I sat down slowly. Why would they do that? I asked. Elena looked up at me, face pale, eyes full of dread. Because, she whispered, Avery didn't want me to marry you. I swallowed hard. Why? Why would she care? And that's when Elena said the one thing that made the floor drop out from under me completely. Because Avery told them, and told me, that she was still in love with you. For a full minute, I just sat there in the guest room staring at Elena, trying to force my brain to reboot. Avery said she's in love with me? I repeated, because the words sounded so delusional I needed to hear them twice. Elena nodded, eyes glassy. She told the others months ago. Said she never got over you. Said you broke her. Said you ghosted her years before I met you. She cried in front of them, Caleb. They all felt sorry for her. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the alternative was punching a wall. I've never ever been with her, I said. Not a date. Not a hookup. Not even a flirtation. I know that now, she whispered. I swear I do. But I didn't when she told me all this. She made it sound like you destroyed her. Like she had warnings she owed me. Warnings. Jesus Christ. So the whole group, I said slowly, decided to become her flying monkeys. Elena flinched but didn't deny it. They wanted me to call off the wedding, she said. They said you were dangerous. That you were hiding who you really were. That the profile was proof you hadn't changed. And you believed them. It wasn't an accusation. It was a fact. A brutal one. Her voice cracked. I was overwhelmed. It was 5 of them. And Avery wouldn't stop crying. And they said they were protecting me. Protecting her. Interesting word. Like a wolf protects meat from other wolves. I let out a breath, stood up, and walked to the window because I needed distance or I was going to scream. Elena, I said quietly, do you realize what they did? They faked a dating profile. They invented a history where I abused one of them. They staged an intervention. They manipulated you into doubting me so completely that you didn't even show me the evidence. She nodded, tears running unchecked down her face. I'm so sorry. I didn't say it's okay, because it wasn't. But I also wasn't ready to walk away. Not yet. Not without exposing every last piece of what happened. So, I said, turning back to her, you really think Avery is in love with me? She hesitated. I don't think it's love. I think it's obsession. Or fixation. Something unhealthy. That felt more accurate. Avery never looked at me like she loved me. She looked at me like she studied me. Like she was cataloging me. And suddenly everything made sense. The way Avery always inserted herself into our business, the way she critiqued me, the way she reacted when we got engaged. She wasn't protecting Elena. She was trying to replace her. I sat down again, calmer now. Too calm. Elena, I said, I'm not marrying you until we burn this entire thing to the ground. Not metaphorically. Literally. We're not leaving any wiggle room for Avery to slither back into your life and try again. What do you mean? I mean, we're going to dismantle this lie piece by piece. We're going to get proof. We're going to confront them with it. And then you're cutting them off. Every single one. She swallowed hard. All of them. I nodded. Anyone who stood by that lie doesn't get to stay in your life. She blinked at me, for the first time in days, with actual clarity. Okay, she whispered. I'll do whatever it takes. I pulled out my phone. Good, I said, because step one is already done. Ryan found the fake profile. Her eyes widened. You found it. Screenshots, timestamps, IP location. Someone near the 6th Avenue Strip created it. And I'm betting we can prove exactly who. Her breath hitched. Avery. And whoever helped her. Because she didn't pull this off alone. A slow, trembling resolve settled over her. What do we do now? I looked her dead in the eyes. Now, we get revenge. A real, cold, strategic revenge. The kind that doesn't just expose the truth, but makes sure no one like Avery ever gets the chance to play God with someone's relationship again. Retaliation plans always sound clean when you say them out loud. But the actual execution? Messy, ugly, revealing, and nothing prepared me for what the truth actually looked like. The next evening, Elena and I sat at the dining table with our laptops, her phone, and Ryan on speaker. We were cross-checking screenshots, timestamps, metadata, anything to tie Avery directly to the fake dating profile. Ryan cleared his throat. So, brace yourself, he said. The profile wasn't made on a phone. I frowned. What do you mean? It was created on a laptop, and the IP address traces back to an apartment complex on Pearl Street. Unit numbers aren't shown, but... Dude, it's the building Avery lives in. Elena went pale but nodded. I knew it. Hold on, Ryan added. There's more. The profile was updated 3 times in the last week, but 2 of those updates came from a different IP. Same complex, different unit. That was strange. Her neighbor? I asked. No. Same building, same floor. But the unit is leased to someone named, Talia Morger. Elena's mouth fell open. Talia, one of her closest friends. The one Elena always claimed was the chill one. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. So it wasn't just Avery. Nope, Ryan said. Looks like 2 people had access to the profile. 2 co-conspirators. That was the second gut punch of the week. Elena covered her face, shaking her head. Talia? Why would she get involved? I had a suspicion, but not enough to say it yet. Can you track who uploaded the pictures? I asked. Already did, Ryan said. 1 picture came from Instagram. 3 others were screenshot from your LinkedIn. My LinkedIn? Yep. And one of them was cropped from a photo your workplace posted on Facebook. Elena whispered. Avery stalked everything about you. Not just Avery, I said quietly, because here came the part that changed everything. Ryan cleared his throat again. A sound that meant, prepare for the bomb. There's one more thing. he said. And it's bad. My pulse kicked up. The very first time that fake profile was created. The IP address wasn't from Pearl Street. Elena sat up straighter. Then where? Ryan hesitated. Then said the words that made Elena's entire body go still. It came from your house. The room dropped to absolute silence. My chest tightened. No, that's not right. I triple-checked, Ryan said. Your router ID, your connection, your network. Someone made the first draft of the profile from inside your home. Elena stared at me like she'd been slapped. But Avery's never been in our house, she whispered. None of them have. You don't let them in. Ryan continued, voice cautious. The laptop that created it had a Windows operating system with auto brightness turned off and battery saver on. So it wasn't plugged in. Meaning, someone used a laptop inside our house. Someone who had access. Someone who lived here. I turned slowly to Elena. Elena? I said, voice low. Did you make that profile? Her eyes went wide, horrified. No. Caleb, I swear to God. I did not. Then who? I demanded. She shook her head violently, panicked. I don't know. Avery's never been here. None of them. She stopped mid-sentence. Her face changed. Her expression slowly collapsed as a realization punched the air out of her. Oh my God, she whispered. Caleb, it wasn't Avery. She reached across the table and grabbed my wrist, her hand ice cold. It wasn't Talia either. What are you talking about? I asked. Her voice broke. It was my sister. I froze. Sienna? I said. Why the hell would she? Elena covered her mouth, sobbing, because now she realized too. All the late-night check-ins. All the just stopping by. All the times she borrowed Elena's laptop. All the weird, loaded comments she made about us moving too fast. Avery didn't make the first profile. Elena's own sister did. And Avery and Talia only joined in later. I sat back, staring at nothing, cold all over. Elena whispered, Caleb, this wasn't a friend group attack. She wiped her face, trembling. It was a coordinated ambush. And it started inside my own family. Elena didn't speak for almost a full minute. She just sat there gripping the edge of the table like the truth was a wave dragging her under. When she finally looked at me, her face was hollow. Caleb, you don't know my sister the way I do. No, I didn't. Sienna was always polite, always smiling, always supportive. She brought cookies when she visited. She asked about my job. She hugged me at Thanksgiving. I thought she was harmless. But the way Elena said it, I realized she wasn't harmless at all. What reason would she have? I asked. To try to destroy us? Elena took a shaky breath. Because she doesn't believe I deserve anything she can't have. That sentence settled in my stomach like lead. Elena leaned back in her chair, staring at the wall as if she were replaying every childhood memory she'd buried under years of pretending things were normal. You've seen pieces of it, she said quietly. But you haven't seen the full picture. Sienna doesn't love people. She collects them. She needs them to orbit her. And when someone pulls away, Elena swallowed. She makes sure they come crawling back. I tightened my jaw. Start from the beginning. Elena nodded slowly. When we were kids, she was obsessed with being better than me. At everything. Grades, sports, friends, didn't matter what it was. If I liked something, she took it. If I succeeded at something, she sabotaged it. She'd break my things and blame me. She'd tell people I cheated on tests when I didn't. She'd flirt with boys I liked just to prove she could get them. My stomach twisted. And when we were older, she continued, it got darker. She'd insert herself into every relationship I had. She once told one of my boyfriends that I was cheating on him, just to see if he'd believe her. He did. He dumped me. She smiled through the whole thing. I felt my jaw clench. Why didn't you tell me any of this? I asked. Elena looked ashamed. Because it sounds crazy when you say it out loud. Because she's charming. Because she plays the perfect daughter to my parents. She makes me look dramatic. And I didn't want you to think my family was dysfunctional. Then she whispered something so soft I almost missed it. And because I didn't think she'd do it again. Not with you. I sat back, stunned. She made the fake profile, Elena said. She must have gone on my laptop that day she came over to talk wedding colors. I wasn't even in the room the whole time. And she knows our Wi-Fi password. She knew exactly how to make it look real. She sent it to Avery first. And Avery latched onto it. She passed it to the others. It spread like fire. A slow, nauseating realization hit me. So your sister started the lie, I said. And your friends amplified it. Elena nodded. They fed off each other, she said. Avery thought she was competing with me for you. The rest were projecting their own misery. But Sienna, she had a completely different reason. I didn't speak. I let her finish. Elena wiped her eyes, her voice turning cold. Colder than I'd ever heard it. She told me something once, she said. Years ago, after my last breakup. What did she say? Elena looked right at me. She said, no man will ever love you more than he loves me first. The words hit like a knife. She meant it, Elena whispered. She always meant it. She can't stand the idea of me being happy without her. She can't stand the idea of me having anything she doesn't control. She shook her head slowly, eyes full of dread. This wasn't about you, Caleb. Not really. It wasn't about the wedding. It wasn't even about the girls. She took a breath. This was about Sienna making sure she stayed the center of my world. Even if she had to ruin mine to do it. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She didn't want to break us up. She wanted to break me. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I felt something sharper than betrayal. I felt purpose. Because now, finally, I understood the villain. And I understood exactly what she needed to lose. The moment Elena said the words, she wanted to break me. Something inside me locked into place. Not rage. Not even hurt. Just a cold, quiet clarity. Because now I finally understood who the real enemy was. And I wasn't about to let her keep owning pieces of Elena's life. The next morning, we didn't talk about forgiveness or family meetings or working it out. We talked strategy. Step 1, get proof. Step 2, confront the entire group, Avery, Talia, and Sienna at the same time. Step 3, cut them all out of our lives permanently. Step 4, build a wedding free of all the rot they tried to plant. I called Ryan and thanked him. Then I gathered every screenshot, IP trace, timestamp, login record, anything that tied the fake profile to Sienna's initial creation and Avery/Talia's updates. We printed everything, labeled it, stapled it into a neat little packet like a legal case. Elena stared at the stack for a long second. You ready? I asked. She nodded. I'm done being afraid of them. So we did it. We went to Elena's parents' house because we knew Sienna would be there. She always was on Sundays, putting on her good daughter performance. Avery and Talia thought they were coming for a conversation with Elena about the wedding doubts. Instead, they walked straight into the ambush. Her parents sat on the couch confused. Sienna stood by the kitchen island, pretending not to be nervous. Avery walked in already looking angry. Talia hovered behind her. Elena placed the stack of evidence on the coffee table like she was dropping a bomb. We're going to go through this, she said calmly. And you're all going to sit down and shut up. Avery opened her mouth, but I stepped forward. Not yelling, not threatening, just steady. Sit down. She sat. Elena picked up page 1, the first IP trace belonging to our house. Sienna, she said, you created the first version of the fake dating profile. You stole pictures of Caleb from my folders. You made it from inside my home. Sienna turned white. Elena, that's not. Someone must have hacked. No, Elena said. Stop lying. I recognized the date, the time. I remember you borrowing my laptop and leaving the room with it. Her parents slowly turned their eyes to Sienna, realizing something was very, very wrong. Elena continued. Avery, you took the profile and sent it to the group chat, pretending you found it. Then you added fake messages from a guy you knew to make it look real. Avery swallowed. Hard. And Talia, Elena said, flipping to the next page. You edited the profile's details from your apartment. Twice. Talia looked like she might throw up. Elena stood, voice shaking, but not from fear this time. You all tried to break my engagement. You tried to break me. Her mom whispered, horrified. Sienna, why would you do this? Sienna finally snapped. I was protecting her. She always picks the wrong men. She always ruins everything. No, Elena said quietly. That's you. You sabotage every good thing I have because you can't handle me being happy without you. Sienna's face twisted. You were supposed to choose me, not him. There it was. The unfiltered truth. Ugly. Raw. Exactly what we expected. I stepped closer. Not touching her. Not threatening. Just letting the weight of my words land. You chose to blow up her life to keep control. That ends now. Elena took a deep breath, exhaled, and spoke the sentence that finally severed the cord Sienna had wrapped around her throat for years. You're not invited to the wedding. Any wedding I ever have. And you're not part of my life anymore. I'm done being your project. Sienna's entire body crumpled like she'd been shot. Avery tried to defend herself. Elena cut her off. You're blocked. All of you. Permanently. Talia whispered an apology, but Elena shook her head. Too late. We walked out of that house lighter than we'd walked in. 2 months later, we held a small ceremony in a quiet garden overlooking Puget Sound. 30 people. Just family, the real kind, the ones who show up, not tear you down. When I said my vows, I told her, I won't change after marriage, because who I am with you is the truest version of me. She cried. I did too. And when we danced at the reception, her phone buzzed. A number she didn't recognize. But she didn't even look at it. She handed it to me, and I blocked it without reading the message. We've been married a year now. Elena's lighter, stronger, free in ways I didn't realize she'd been caged. People talk about revenge like it's flames and screaming. But sometimes revenge is silent. Sometimes it's choosing a life where the villain no longer exists. Sometimes it's cutting the strings that someone else tied around your throat and walking away with the person they tried to steal from you. Our revenge was simple. We lived. We loved. We left them behind. And not one of them has had the power to interfere since. The last time we talked about it, Elena said, You saved me. I told her the truth. No, you saved yourself. I just stood beside you while you finally burned the bridge they kept dragging you over. Then she laughed softly and said something that felt like the perfect closing line to all of this. Funny, they tried so hard to stop our wedding, and all they did was make our marriage stronger.